Welcome into the roundtable. I am Brad Wakai. That is Tyson Gentry. We are reacting a little bit, not much to Monday Night Football. It was tame compared to really everything else in the NFL. Just an insane weekend that we want to touch on. And then we'll update kind of the playoff picture where we're at now. People knocking on the door. We have a clear picture on divisions, where different seeding is going to be as people wrap up their different playoff picture and their different playoff seeds. And then obviously a little injury news here, kind of the biggest one on the board and through kind of the waiver wire, injury wire here. So that we'll keep everybody updated on. But let's just get right into it, Tyson. I mean, just a crazy, crazy NFL weekend that there were endings I've never seen before in my life.
In the early window on Sunday, Scott Hansen said something like, there was almost 3 games in overtime, except we got a last-second field goal to stop that, and he said like this would be the most overtimes going concurrently at the same. And they were fucking huge comebacks, 2 of them to tie it up. The Vikings come back from 33 down on Saturday, and then Sunday and Monday night were kind of more slugfest. But that was like if you were playing parlays, you were on it till the last second on Sunday.
That had to be like one of the greatest viewing experiences for Red Zone, like the people producing that in a long time. Like
it was boom, 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 boom. It was pretty sweet, and it coincided with the first weekend of fantasy football playoffs for a lot of people. So I think it was a good weekend for the NFL to have all this crazy shit going on.
So let's start here, Saturday, and we should have known after we saw this was literally the first game of Saturday. And the Colts were up 33-0 at halftime and ended up losing the game 39-36. It's the biggest comeback in the history of the NFL. I don't even know where to start with this one. It was insane. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Just the fact that the Colts were just so inept in the second half, that the Vikings were so terrible in the first half. And then we were kind of joking around. We were texting, the Vikings, could they win this? I'm just like, no way. This is how that bad they looked. And then here they come, and they actually pull it off. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I think I sent you a text when it was 33-14 maybe, or 33. It was right away, and I was like, are the Vikings about to win? And you were just like, no fucking way. This is going to happen. Well, why would you? This is, for the Colts, good teams win, great teams cover. So shout out to Indianapolis, good performance, whatever. This was wild. This was the Minnesota Vikings in 2022. You saw both of the teams that live inside Minneapolis. Basically, there was the team that lost by 40 to the Cowboys and the team that's been steamrolling people on the flip side. I've never seen anything like this in my life. At any level, I think. Coming back from 40 in college or 45 in college is amazing and huge. It's so much different than with an NFL team down 33. What was that stat? They were 1,500 until up 30 or something like that.
It was something like that. I mean, it was something. I mean, obviously it's historic, right? It's never happened before that somebody's come back from this many points down. I just how did the Colts not just run out the clock? There's only a certain amount of possessions that the other team can have. How they didn't win that game is still mind-blowing to me. And another hilarious thing, Tyson, I meant to text you about this, but I thought I may as well share on the show. Jeff Saturday sitting there before he took this head coaching job, criticizing coaches about clock management. The dude might be the worst clock manager in the history of the sport.
He's lost 2 games by not understanding essentially and it feels weird to criticize a head coach in this way, but everybody in the world is sitting at home. It's early in the season with Nathaniel Hackett. Peyton Manning's doing this for 50 seconds before he calls a timeout. It's everybody in the world knows that you're fucking this up. And it's just no change. Zach Moss, Deion Jackson should have been enough to close that game out. They were up by so much that it didn't matter who was playing running back. And I feel bad for Matt Ryan, brother. This is brutal.
I feel bad for him too. It's not all his fault, and he's gonna get all the memes and stuff. He's the worst comeback or the biggest comeback in the history of the Super Bowl. Matt Ryan was on the other side of it, and then Colts Matt Ryan pulls the biggest upset or the biggest comeback in the history of oh my god!
And you said, this one wasn't really even it wasn't you could pin that one on Matt Ryan. He wasn't good, but he was he was good enough to get you up 33-zip. Justin Jefferson going crazy. And I honestly thought Justin Jefferson should have got 25 targets in this game. He was running around by himself. on like most of these routes. The Vikings were trying to get TJ Hawkinson the ball a ton. It just didn't really work on Sunday, but I think that's a pretty good thing that they can show other teams before playoffs start. Like, hey, we've used him a good amount in these games, but he hasn't like popped huge yet. And I think that game's coming for TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, I think you're right on that too. But just an insane collapse. Colts continue just to melt. And honestly, they deserve this, dude. Jim Irsay is just a fucking clown. You know how I feel about him. And if you don't, well, go listen to some of our past episodes where I just rip into him. This is what you get for hiring a guy who's at the ESPN Bristol studio freaking 2 weeks before you give him the head coaching job. It's a joke. And if you want to act like a clown show from the top down, this is what you're going to get. And we could root for Jeff Saturday all you want and be like, oh, he's a nice guy or whatever. That's what clown show organizations do. And Jim Irsay's running this historic franchise like a clown show. And this is what you get.
Well, they're still pretending that they fired Frank Reich to win games. Like they're still pretending it was like we have a shot, like we want to maximize blah 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 blah. It's like, did you fill them with Jeff? Like you're not fooling anybody. And there were people after the first couple weeks that were like, there's whispers he's going to get the job full time. I'm just glad that's over. You can't give it to him, dude.
You can't. You can't. There'll be a riot. It'd be so bad. Okay, let's move on. Other stupidity in the league. I feel bad for Jacoby Myers, right? Like he's just trying to make a play, but this might have been craziest.
Why would you feel bad for him? This is like day one. Like you learn this like before you even get into organized football. I think like you can't. Yeah, he was trying to make a play, but there's a lot. You can make a play in overtime, big boy. You don't do this.
I don't know. I just feel bad for him. Maybe I shouldn't, but I just feel bad for him because everybody's crushing him today. It just. You know how it is. But listen, the Raiders, Derek Carr stinks, man. Like, I'm so over pretending that this guy's actually good. Like, this guy is a fucking clown show, man. Like, he just does enough where his stats look good. And he just, we're practicing. And it's like, shut up, dude. Like, do something, man. You were up 17-3 in the first half. You have him dead to rights, and you throw that bonehead pick six. That's on you, first of all. And then you can't tell me that all of these inept things on offense is directly attributed just to Josh McDaniels. You can't. At some point, your elite quarterback or top whatever people tab this guy at quarterback has to make plays, and he constantly comes up small. And I will say on that last drive, though, he finally did something in the second half to Keelan Cole. I think he might have been out of bounds. They couldn't overturn it.
Oh, he's out of bounds.
Holy smokes. I couldn't believe what I was watching. The Raiders crumbling again. And then the Patriots just gave him the game away, Tyson, on the last second. It was insane.
So is this the dumbest play in the history of sports that you can remember? Like, JR forgetting the score was pretty stupid.
Yeah. What about who didn't get his ass down and it went through his legs?
Bill Buckner?
Buckner, yeah. Buckner. That was kind of stupid. We
got, like, the Michigan State punt into their hands as they run in the end zone. But, like, Bill Buckner was, like, at least in a position to make it, like, that's the only spot you could be. The Michigan State was just trying to punt the ball, get out of there, basically. And, like, JR at least went to overtime. Like, this is the Patriots seem like they're not a well-coached football team, dude.
I've been saying that. Like, dude, Bill Belichick, I get it. We don't want to criticize him. He's done so much in this league. And who are we to criticize the best coach of all time? But if we want to be objective about it, this is not a well-coached team. He has got defensive clowns like rejects, Matt Patricia and Joe Judge on the offensive side of the ball, and you're wondering why Mac Jones' stat line. Hold on, let me pull this up here. I mean, it was horrible. Like, how is this not getting more attention either? Like, I get the Jacoby Myers thing. Mac Jones was 13 of 31 with a 12.2 QBR.
Dude, they haven't thrown a touchdown in the fourth quarter. Mac Jones hasn't thrown a fourth quarter touchdown this season.
And I know you hate Mac Jones. This is not all Mac Jones.
No, it's not. But, like, it certainly – there's a little bit to do with it, I think. Like, Matt Patricia and Joe Judge we've seen they're horrible at head jobs. They're really good at what they do, but Bill Belichick has asked them to do something pretty much completely foreign. I just have a hard time believing there's any coach in the NFL, like, if there's a level of trust there that you could at least try to do something, because there's no way 14 weeks into the year that – well, maybe there is. Maybe Matt Patricia is watching the film and like, oh, dude, this is beautiful. Like, this is great football that we're playing. Maybe he likes the offense. It's just hard for me to wrap my head around. And on the Raiders thing, Eagles have taken the lead by 15 or more points in a halftime 7 times, 7-0. Chiefs 5 times, 5-0. Cowboys 5 times, 4-1. The Raiders were on the verge of going 0-5 in games like this. This play made them 1-4, which is still an objectively horrible number. But it took like an act of God, essentially, for them to win a game that they were up by 15 points going to the half.
If they win those games, they are 10, like the games you're talking about when they were up at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
They're 10-4. They're with the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's pretty crazy.
It's crazy.
Well, they would have beat the Chiefs in one of those.
Exactly.
So he's hitting one in the division. And by the way, man, the worst part of this play to me, and I don't know, I haven't heard very many people talking about it. It might be out on Twitter. Like Chandler Jones, the guy who's like from the most athletic family of all time with a vendetta against the Patriots, is the one to get the interception. And then Mac Jones is the only guy in the way to stop him. Like, that was sent from somebody. That was like, I don't know, man, but there was, that was 10 years of Patriot. That was an exorcism for a lot of people, because it was like, we get to pick one guy to run Mac Jones over. I think you gave the ball to Chandler Jones, man. It was just so stupid. And watching it, funny enough, that flag popped up on the bottom of the screen. I thought the Raiders fucked it up. I thought for sure it was something that they did wrong.
Of course, because that's what happens. That's what's been happening to this team. But it's just an insane ending, maybe the craziest ending, the stupidest play. Who knows? I mean, if you haven't seen it, you have to go to YouTube and watch it. Like, it is crazy. And another crazy play that was great for us, Tyson, the Cowboys basically lost the division in overtime against the Jags. We called it on our pick show. We took Jags plus 3.5, plus 4. We love that pick. And you called it outright. Jags are going to win this one. Dougie P is going to come through for the Eagles. And the Cowboys once again crumble, man. And I'm so sick. And I've been saying this for 3 weeks on this podcast. Everybody's overrating the Cowboys. All you heard, they might be the best team in the league. Why? Because we like their name? Like, because Micah Parsons really good? They haven't done a damn thing in this league to make us think that they're the best team. We discredit the Eagles all the time because, I don't know, for some reason we don't think Jalen Hurts is good. Or not you and me. The national consensus, I guess. The Chiefs, I think people are just like, well, they're really good, but there's something missing there. Doesn't seem like there is. And then the Bills, there are some question marks around them, but why? And then the Niners, just because they steamroll teams, they don't have a quarterback. And then the Cowboys, out of all of that, were the team that we're anointing as the best team, and they haven't done a thing. Like, it was crazy to me. And I think we've seen their weaknesses come through the past 2 weeks. Should have lost to Houston. We're up big against Jacksonville. Imploded in the second half, then threw a pick 6 on a walk-off in OT.
And we're only up 2 through 3 quarters to the Indianapolis Colts until that monsoon. Right. And granted, when you end up scoring 40 points in a quarter, I think it was like 20 something, but still, like, that's impressive. That's a pretty good little run to put together. But for, what is that, 11 out of their last 12 quarters, they've been a fine football team. They've been an average. Like, if you swap their jerseys with the New York Giants, I don't think anybody would be surprised through the last 3 weeks, which is a weird spot to be in for Dallas at this point in the year. Like, Dak Prescott doesn't look either comfortable, or there's something like he's turning the ball over at a rate that is pretty unfamiliar for Dak Prescott.
I know.
And I think, and I've been saying it for a while, and you have too, like, Kellen Moore is a fucking knockoff Jason Garrett.
Dude.
And people want to make this guy into the next best head coach in the NFL. He doesn't, like, watch fourth quarter play calling. Watch the Dallas Cowboys in the fourth quarter and point me out 5 series throughout the year where you think Kellen Moore did a really good job calling plays. Like, you're throwing a bomb to kill the clock, essentially, letting the Jaguars conserve a timeout, allowing Trevor Lawrence, who's been dicing you up all day, to go down and score a touchdown to even force this thing into overtime. Like, that was a Kellen Moore mistake. You can get mad at Dak or get mad at Noah Brown. They shouldn't be throwing the ball. Like, whatever you're upset about today, like, Dallas got out-coached bad. And I think that if Mike McCarthy gets bounced in the first round, I don't know how that's going to fly in Dallas after the regular season that they've had.
Sean Payton?
That'd be fine with me. I got my Birds hat on. You could Sean Payton would be fine with me.
Really? Oh, I'd be scared of Sean Payton there.
I mean, we'll see. The Lincoln Riley rumors will pop up as soon
Of course.
as Dallas gets bounced.
Of course, that would be nuts. Here's the other thing for the Cowboys: they're 3-3 away from home. They're 7-1 at home. That's nerve wracking if you're a Cowboys fan. They don't play well away from Jerry World. It used to be the opposite. It's not with this team. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the outside conditions. I don't know.
And you're not getting the one off the 2 seed.
Game, Tyson.
Yeah, that's the issue. And like Trevor Lawrence has been one of the 3 best quarterbacks in football over the last 3 weeks. He's been balling, and you and I have been hating on him a bit, and we're eating crow because he looks the part, man. He looks awesome.
He does.
He's never done this, and you're the ESPN favorite at least to win the Super Bowl, top 5 in Super Bowl odds. You have 10 wins, and like you're the one he does it to first. These are things that young quarterbacks learn against the Jets or the Browns or the Lions of old. Like, this isn't something that happens to 10-1 football teams with Super Bowl aspirations. And I might be sitting here in a couple months looking stupid because when the Warriors lost by 50, I said I'd never seen a championship team do that. But I've never seen somebody like that's the marquee moment. And now, today, we're talking about the Jaguars as a playoff team. When before the week, or if the Titans don't allow Justin Herbert to throw that 40-yard seed to set up a field goal, like a different story. Like this isn't. They didn't lose to the Bills or Patrick Mahomes. Like this was a fine Jacksonville Jaguars team.
Yeah, and one that was counted out like 3 weeks ago. Like dude, they were a long shot to win their division. They're plus 120 odds now. Like it's insane the twists and turns of the NFL season where we can go. And I mean, let's jump into the next one here. I mean, the Bucs crumble again. They almost they were dominating this game against the Bengals in this first half. They're up 17-3. They looked great at home. The defense was flying around. They were making Joe Burrow uncomfortable. The offense was rolling, and then they just shit down their leg in the second half. Like 4 straight possessions, 4 straight turnovers. Did anybody care on that team? It just looked like, well, we'll just pack it in again. I think the Bucs are done. I think you got to take somebody else in this division. It's crazy. They don't care that they just lost, that they embarrassed themselves again, Tyson. It's bad there in Tampa.
Dude, I don't know if they've cared since like week 3.
I don't know.
Like they've had these one-off. Well, I guess it happened twice, so you can't really call it a one-off. But like you take away 95-yard, no time left, Tom Brady comeback wins. Like they're staring down the bear. Like they're with the Bears. Like they're a horrible football team. This team sucks. They don't do anything well. Like no. They don't do anything well. And for a defense that was basically being counted on to hold the lead, and you're supposed to be on paper one of the better units in the NFL, and they've been shitty all year long for the talent that they have. But like Joe Burrow looked like the best player of all time once he got rolling. Like the Bengals were doing whatever they wanted. It's so bad. And Mike Evans is a ghost. I don't know what happened to him, but basically halfway through this year, like the Monstars showed up. Chris Godwin's still somehow finding a rhythm because his offense stinks. Like that's the reason people want to point at his ACL and this stuff. He's open. He's winning off the line of scrimmage. He's doing well. It's just the timing is off everywhere. And I don't know if you can go back to Tom Brady missing training camp or if it's Todd Bowles and Tom Brady fighting in-house. It certainly seems to me like there might be something going on there. But, like, you can't run the football and you can't play defense. You're not winning. And maybe not even winning the NFC South, dude. Like, last week I talked about taking a Panthers ticket. I don't know if you go take a Saints ticket now. Like, I don't think you want to play the Bucs.
This is what we got. Bucs are minus 360 still. Panthers are plus 420. The rest of the division, the Saints are plus 2,000, Falcons plus 2,400. I think that's ill-advised, me personally, to take a flyer on those two. I think if you want to take anything, you got to take the Panthers.
They look dead, too. They look dead. It's like, for a division that we knew was going to be bad outside of one team, or we thought was going to be bad outside of one team, this is the worst division I've ever seen at this point in the season.
Horrible.
Like a 10-loss team might make the playoffs.
It's not out of the possibility. They're going to be whoever makes it from this division, no hyperbole, is going to be the worst team in the history of the playoffs.
God, if it was Tom Brady and he won round 1, I think the world would explode.
Dude, the Bucs are going to beat the Cowboys if they play. They have the Cowboys kryptonite. I don't know what it is. So here you go. Ready? So this is the Bucs schedule. At Cardinals Sunday night this week.
Gotta win.
I mean, that might get flexed out. Let's be honest. That might get flexed out. Home Panthers at Falcons. So that's their close. The 3 games here. Now, here's the Panthers close. Home Lions, at Bucs, at Saints. That's tough.
Yeah, but if they win those last 2, they win the division.
If they beat the man, oh man. I mean, because here's the thing.
Bucs have to beat the
Cardinals. The Bucs are going to beat the Lions, or the Bucs are going to beat the Cardinals. Yeah. But then again, I have no clue. I mean, it's going to be Trace McSorley in all likelihood against Tom Brady.
And you can't go against your boy, man. Like, you're not wearing your Penn State stuff right now, but I know it's inside you. I know you're not picking against Big Trace.
I'm picking against him, dude. He stinks.
You love Tyler Huntley, but hate Trace McSorley, dude. Whatever.
Tyler Huntley's Okay, let's get into the updated playoff picture here. A lot of different movement, but we're getting closer to finalization. But we'll give you where we're at right now. We'll start with the AFC. Bucs are still the 1 seed at 11-3. They hold the tiebreaker over the Chiefs, who are 11-3 at the 2 seed. The Bengals are just red hot, man. I mean, they are red hot. They are 10-4. They're the 3 seed. Now, if Kansas City stumbles and Cincy ties and has the same record as the Chiefs, they'll jump the Chiefs with that tiebreaker. So that's something to keep in mind. Titans are the 4 seed, leading their division at 7-7. The Ravens have now been bumped after their loss to the Browns to the 5th seed at 9-5. Chargers up to the 6th seed. This is after the loss by the Patriots at 8-6. Dolphins now also 8-6. The Chargers own the tiebreaker over the Dolphins after that Sunday night game. And then on the outside looking in, 1 game back, Patriots, Jets, both at 7-7. And then let's not forget the Jags at 6-8. A real chance to win that division and sneak into the 4 seed. Any thoughts, whether it's gambling, just, thoughts overall that you want to mention on the AFC side?
I think right now you got to be seriously thinking about taking the Chargers to win the AFC ticket. Okay. I know that sounds weird. If you take away, it's the 2 times they played the Chiefs and then somebody else this year, I'm blanking. But those were 3-point games and high-scoring efforts. Like, if those go, this is an 8-3 team outside of those games that's getting healthy. And I understand they're going to see those teams in the playoffs, but the way this bracket's shaking out, if they get a 3rd shot at the Chiefs, man, like, they've played them really well twice. And if they can get by the Chiefs, like, the defense is getting healthy. They didn't stop Derrick Henry, and they didn't have to really stop anybody else this week. So that's what's concerning. But, like, Herbert's playing really well. And if you didn't take a Bengals ticket 2-3 weeks ago, we don't know what to tell you because we were on it.
You were pounding the drum on the Bengals, and now they're plus 500. I mean, talk about something that's shortened in 2 weeks that we discussed this. Chargers plus 1,400. That could shorten very, very quickly, to your point here, Tyson, too. So we own preseason Chargers tickets. There's no point in us buying in right now. We already have our tickets, our liability here. This is my thing. The Jets and the Jaguars play on Thursday. The winner of that game, there's a legit possibility. If the Dolphins continue to stumble, the Jaguars can backdoor their into that 7 seed, way into that 7 seed. We don't have any updated playoffs or not odds. That's going to be something we'd have to discuss on our chalkboard. Jaguars are a real look, I think, either if you want to play them to win their division or anything to make the playoffs, in my opinion. What do you think?
It's fun. Like, no matter what happens, like, they're maybe the most fun team to watch in the NFL right now. They've captured that 2017 Jaguars energy where it's like, we don't give a shit about, like, who you are, this is what we do, and this is what we do well, and we're going to try to do it. And I think that in a futures market, this is something that as soon as the Super Bowl odds for next year come out, this is something I want to look at. I know that sounds pretty hot take-ish, but this is I'm wearing an Eagles hat. I said it already. I saw Doug Peterson do this before. Like, I've seen him walk in these situations, and it looks like a dumpster fire, and then you catch momentum at the end of the year. Like getting Calvin Ridley coming, and maybe he's 85% of himself. That's still going to be a good player to get for Jacksonville. I just, like, there's a lot to like about what they got going on in Duval.
Remember when people made fun of the Travis Etienne's draft selection for some reason?
Yeah, because he wasn't the most explosive player in college football for 2.5
for 2
years.
years. How was that? I just never understood that. How was that even remotely?
But Kadarius Toney was a good pick, even though he never did anything. Like when you watch him at Florida, it was like, oh, this guy's pretty good. When you watch Travis Etienne, you're like, that guy's the best player on the field every time he's on the field.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney, off-field issues, always hurt, and that's a good pick. Travis Etienne, the best player on a loaded Clemson team, never in trouble as a football guy. Bad pick. Where are we at these days, man? It's crazy to me. Okay, let's jump into the NFC. A lot of injury news that we're going to touch on. Not a lot, but just like big angle with Jalen Hurts' injury that we'll touch on. But here's your updated NFC standings as at the moment right here. Eagles 13-1 at the 1 seed. Vikings 2 seed at 11-3. San Francisco 49ers is 3 seed 10-4. The Bucs right now are hosting a playoff game at the 4 seed at 6-8 based on winning their division. The Cowboys would be the 5 seed at 10-4. Giants, after winning on Sunday Night Football, they are the 6 seed 8-5-1. The Commanders also at this in the playoff picture at the 7 seed 7-6-1. The tie to the Giants 2 weeks ago saves them over Detroit, Seattle, and now Green Bay's at 6-8. It's going to be interesting down the stretch here. I mean, I want Detroit to make the playoffs so bad. Like, I love Dan Campbell. I think this would be fantastic. Like, same question for the AFC. Anything gambling related? Anything that you want to touch about from a big picture?
Well, big picture, one thing that I've been thinking about over the last 24 hours, I guess, if Washington sells in the offseason, and let's say a new owner wants to put his imprint on things, like, is Ron Rivera's job safe either?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I have a hard time believing it. And, like, if they make the playoffs, I think that changes a little bit. I think it's pretty imperative for Washington to make the playoffs as far as Ron Rivera's job security. But on a gambling angle for the NFC, this is the same thing we've been telling you for like with the Bengals. Like, if you weren't in on the Niners before, you might have missed your window. Unless you really, really were impressed Thursday and you think that this team is going to win the Super Bowl, basically, that's pretty much the only ticket you're going to want to play with the odds shrinking the way they are. Like, Philly's 13-1. All it takes, like, if they win one more game out of the next 3, they clinch the 1 seed. If you like, you don't want them at this. Like, this is not the play. If you've been watching 14, 15 weeks of the NFL season, the NFC is essentially solidified for me on the betting side of things.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think maybe once we get these tickets again, or once these odds open up, these markets open up on FanDuel about make the playoff positions, things like that, I may take a flyer on one of these teams like Packers. I don't think they can actually do it, but it looks like they're starting to gel. But, I mean, Lions, Seahawks, I don't know. Commanders down the stretch, it feels like this thing is kind of about to burst. Are the Giants even good enough to hold on to this? 2 games with 3 to go? Sure, maybe. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see, but I agree with you. There's really nothing jumping out to me right now. Potentially a Carolina division.
We'll say that if the Eagles lock it up before they play the Giants again, that looks like it could be a free win on the Giants schedule with Philly resting everybody, and that could be pretty huge as far as playoff implications.
And so Jalen Hurts. So let's talk about it here, because that's going to be the biggest news that's come out, the biggest kind of news cycle, because it impacts a bunch of the different gambling stuff we talk about, and obviously on the field. So he may miss the Cowboys game. That's the news. AC injury, AC joint sprain. This is typically, from what I've been reading, a 1 to 3 week injury. He can play through it if he gets a pain injection. He also went 7 of 10 for 110 yards after the injury in the Bears game.
With 2 dimes.
And so we were texting. I think this is more of a cautious approach by the Eagles. Why do you need to throw him out against a very good front line of the Cowboys when you pretty much have this baby already wrapped up? Get Minshew in there. Let Jalen Hurts a shoulder rest. He needs rest anyway. I mean, he's been carrying the rock like crazy. I don't think that's an issue at all. Now, the only thing I think that affects from a betting market here is MVP. And potentially even coach of the year. Because if they do lose to the Cowboys, and I think it's, can you really harm that? Kind of knock Sirianni for that? But MVP, quick odds here before you give your take here, Tyson. Mahomes is now the minus 350 favorite. Going into this week, Jalen Hurts was the favorite at minus like 150. Mahomes, a huge favorite now, minus 350. And also, Sirianni was like minus 250, minus 300 for coach of the year. He's now minus 165. and Dan Campbell's plus 175.
If the Lions make the playoffs, I think there's a lot of narrative-driven thing. Unless the Eagles are going undefeated, I think from Hard Knocks to this, from the kneecap bite into this, I think people are in on Dan Campbell, and that might just be the betting line. Who knows if that's how this thing's going to play out. And I laughed on the MVP thing because, we talked about it last week. It's so funny to me that because of betting markets, we're now reacting week to week. It's
right.
It's a season-long award. Mahomes throws 3 interceptions last week and goes from the favorite to plus 240 or whatever. Now Hurts is hurt, so Mahomes is the favorite again. It's so stupid. As far as Jalen Hurts goes, as soon as we heard that he was injured, I knew there's no way he's playing in this game. I think if you look at what the Eagles have done over the last 2 weeks ago, all empty, all game, brand new, not on tape yet, not on film. Now it's something you got to think about. And they added more stuff this past week as far as quarterback run designs, quarterback sneak wrinkles, throwing new stuff on tape for people to have to think about every week. And now it's we don't have to show you a game full of tape, and everyone else does before this thing starts. If Jalen Hurts plays this game and the Eagles want to clinch the division, clinch the division and clinch the NFC, who knows what they're going to put out there on tape. That's what I'm thinking about sitting here. If they have trick plays or whatever they want to get into, now you save those. Now that nobody's seen them before. And I really believe with this coaching staff, that might be an angle. I will say that it's also probably good that he's going to sit because Shane Steichen has decided that every third game is going to be Jalen Hurts' design run game. And it's not good for his health, man. He's built like a Mack truck and he squats 1 billion pounds and they talk about it every game. It's not fair to have it and be outside of the quarterback draw for 22 yards and a touchdown. All those were, hey, you're going to get smacked.
I know.
And I just don't know if that's the smartest way to play at this point in the season when the division and the conference is all but wrapped.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should set him if there's any doubt. Hey, man, how are you feeling? Obviously ask him. If he's fine, if it's just a little tweak, okay, then it could be up to him. If it's something hey, this could be prevailing and you could re-aggravate it or hurt it worse, there's no reason for him to play in this game. There's none. The risks outweigh the reward for him to play against the Dallas Cowboys. Plus, like you said, you play the Saints 2 weeks. Jalen Hurts has owned the Saints. Eagles have owned the Saints.
They own their pick. That's a bigger game for them.
Oh, the draft pick.
I'm just saying, if they can knock the Saints out of division contention and improve their own pick, all well clinching the NFC, it'd be great to beat the Cowboys. But I'm almost looking at it as a middle finger from the Philadelphia Eagles. We don't need to trot our best guys out there against you. It doesn't matter. We wrap this. We're good.
I can't wait to see if he's out with that line balloons too. Give me 7.5 with Minshew, please.
Yes, that's what I'm in.
Okay, that's going to do it for the show today. We appreciate you guys listening. As always, subscribe, and share to the show. Follow us on our social media pages. Instagram's @_the roundtable pod _ Our TikTok handle is the same. And our Twitter is @TRT_pod. Tyson, tell them about our chalkboard and all our picks.
Yeah, we're in the chalkboard app. The Roundtable is the username on there. Throwing bets in basically all the time. Brad is ripping college basketball up. So far, Brad just went on a pretty wild run to end the World Cup there, which ended up working out pretty good. He's a France guy, but we're not going to talk about it a ton today. We got fun parlays in there. We got everything, and we've been throwing stuff in there nonstop. And we're hitting at a decent clip. So if you want to get in there and follow us, fade us, doesn't matter. As long as you're playing, we're all having fun.
Absolutely. We will be back Tuesday. That's right. Tuesday live on Twitter and on Twitch. Podcast will be out Wednesday, breaking down the next week of bowl games, as we've had a good little run in the bowl games as well. So if you're a college football fan, if you're ready to bet some more on ththese bowl games, we have you covered. So
until then, we 2 legs away from what would it be? 5-2, 6-1 each.
I think, yeah, because Boise State crumbled or something like that, and I can't remember the other one.
I have SMU over. That's what I had.
Right. That's what it was. Yeah. So we'll be back. We'll try to get on a little bit more of a heater there. We got some more information and trends coming your way if you listen to that episode. So until then, guys, peace.